Hello friends, welcome to our YouTube channel Tax Reply. If you have come to this channel for the first time, consider subscribing. Today's topic is how to legally defend your case of mismatch between GSTR 3B and GSTR 2A. This is a very interesting topic. Let's start this topic. The first rule which comes into play on this section is Rule 36(4). This is the only rule which prohibits the buyer to avail ITC for the invoices which have not been reported by the supplier. Let's have a look on Rule 36(4) first. What this rule says? This rule says ITC to be availed by a person in respect of invoices not furnished by supplier shall not exceed 5% of the eligible credit available in respect of invoices furnished by the supplier. That means if you have rupees 100 credit available in your GSTR 2A, that means rupees 100 GST of invoices have been reported by the supplier, then you can maximum claim 5% over and above this amount. That means you can claim up to rupees 5% in your GSTR 3B. So this is Rule 36(4). This 5%, the rate of 5% is as on date, but it was not earlier. This rule was initially inserted on 9th October 2019 with a capping of 20%. Later, it was reduced to 10% with effect from 1st January 2020. And it was later further reduced to 5% with effect from 1st January 2021. So by seeing the trend, one can easily understand where the department is going, and we can safely assume that in future it can be reduced to 0%. So when it will be 0%, that would mean that you cannot avail any credit for the invoices which have not been reported by the supplier. So this is Rule 36(4). Now let's have a look on the validity, on the constitutional validity of this rule. This rule is under litigation and has been challenged in various courts. The constitutional validity of this rule has been challenged in various courts. So this is under litigation whether this rule is constitutionally valid or not. This rule is not backed by the Act. Basically, the restriction has been provided by the rules which are subordinate to the Act, which are subordinate to the main GST Act. So there is no restriction in the GST Act, because whatever the conditions have been prescribed in the GST Act for availing the ITC, every buyer fulfills that condition, because there is no such condition that the seller has to report that invoice to avail the credit of ITC. So this condition has been put under rules, not under the Act. So this rule is itself under challenge before the courts. Now, the second argument you can give, while defending your case. This is the very important principle, friends. So please have a careful look on this. There is a principle of lex non cogit ad impossibilia. I'll make you understand each and every word of this principle. The first word is lex. Lex means a system of law. Non means does not. Cogit means to compel. Ad means to. Impossibilia means impossible. So lex non cogit ad impossibilia is an old maxim which means that law does not compel a man to do which he cannot possibly perform. Let's read it again. This rule means law does not compel a man to do which he cannot possibly perform. Now let's apply this rule on this Rule 36(4). So what is impossible in Rule 36(4)? In most of the cases, in almost every cases, buyer has no control over the returns of supplier. This is a very logical rule. This is very logical, how can buyer have control over the returns of seller? Being a buyer, I cannot ask my seller, I cannot control my seller to file the returns on time. And why would seller file the return on time, on the request of buyer? If he is a defaulter, then he would continue defaulting unless he is penalized by the GST department. So this should be taken care by the GST department, not by the buyer. By this Rule 36(4), GST department has transferred their liability, their responsibility to the buyer. because department was not able to catch those defaulters. So they have transferred this responsibility to the buyer. Second important point is withholding of payment is not always possible and practical. This is a general practice followed by the industry, that the big companies generally do not make payment to their vendors unless they verify it from their GSTR 2A. Like, unless the supplier files the return, they will not make payment of the bills. But withholding of payment is not always possible and practical. So this is a solution which industry had derived by themselves, but this is not always possible. The second important, this is the rule 95%. There is a general rule, 95% rule, which means that any rule or policy should be made to benefit the 95% of the population. Let's assume that 95% of the population are genuine, like these are genuine taxpayers, and only 5% are corrupt. This is a safe presumption that not more than 5% people are corrupt. 95% people are genuine, they are filing the returns on time, they are doing the genuine business. So any provision should be made to benefit the 95% of the population. It should not be made for the 5% only. Why should 95% should suffer because of this 5%? Because 95% taxpayers are genuine, only 5% are corrupt, who are not filing the returns, who are taking fake ITC. Like on the third point, genuine taxpayers suffer most for this rule. By introducing this rule, genuine taxpayers are suffering most rather than the culprits. I'll explain you how. Let's understand the modus operandi adopted by these culprits. For example, these are 5 fake firms, A, B, C, D, and E. A purchases goods from B. B files its return on time because it's a fake firm, so filing return is not a difficult task. They file its return on time. A gets the credit as per Rule 36(4). B buys goods from C. C also files its return on time, so B also gets credit of ITC as per Rule 36(4). C buys goods from D. D also files it on time, so C also gets credit of ITC as per Rule 36(4). So in this chain of whole fake firm, generally what happens, the last firm, they do not file their GSTR 3B. The last firm in the chain generally defaults because ultimately, if everyone is going to pay tax, then how will they do this scam? So in this whole chain, the last firm does not pay any tax, and all the 4 firms and all the entire firms prior to this last firm of chain, they take ITC on behalf of their GSTR 2A. So this is how this all scam is done. And by the time department catches this person, they all gone with the money. So this is how they find a loophole of G36(4). But what happens that this Rule 36(4) generally make problem for the genuine taxpayers, because they are genuine, they are doing genuine business, they are buying goods genuinely from the sellers. If seller is not filing the return, then what can buyer do in this? So this is how this rule works. Last argument could be, this is a Madras High Court judgment. This is a very important judgment and very welcome judgment. This judgment has taken care of this matter in detail. What this judgment has said? In this judgment, it was held that department jumping directly to buyer for reversal of ITC without first initiation of recovery process from supplier is absolutely incorrect. This means what happens? Department is directly jumping to the buyer for reversal of ITC. They are simply saying if the credit is not appearing in your GSTR 2A, simply reverse it, pay interest, pay penalty. They are not even asking the seller to file the returns. They are not even making any inquiry where the supplier has gone, why he is not filing. They are not initiating any recovery process from the seller. So this is absolutely wrong as per the Madras High Court judgment, and this is very logical. What Madras High Court said, they said first department should go to supplier. Go to the supplier, find the supplier, make your inquiry, start the recovery process. if you are not able to recover the amount from the supplier, then only you should jump to the buyer. But department is directly jumping to the buyer without even bothering to take pain of recovery from the seller. So this is not correct. This High Court judgment should be followed by the GST officers. This is a very welcome judgment. So these are some important points while defending your case for mismatch between GSTR 3B and GSTR 2A. You can refer this judgment. You can refer this principle also, lex non cogit ad impossibilia. So these are 2-3 important points while defending your case of mismatch. So if you have any query on this topic, please let me know in the comments. We will definitely try to answer. Thank you.